Right. Seeing at 6 o'clock, I'm going to call to order the July 9th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting for the Village of Belleville. 6 o'clock. Roll call. Mike Service. Present. Chance. Here. Harry.
Here.
Debbie, are you online? Absent. Jared.
Here.
Larry Enlow.
Here.
He is absent. All right. Public participation allows citizens to be heard on any agenda or non-agenda item. So if you would like to speak about something, please approach the podium, say your name and address, and you'll have about 3 minutes.
Junior Shank, I go by Jenna, 665 Village Drive, Belleville. My comment is about the new duplex at 637 Village Drive. And this is just a little food for thought because it's our neighborhood. So this is a request for a duplex in a well-established, long-lasting, single-family unit neighborhood for many years. One of our concerns is that with this duplex, how many dogs will be allowed? I know this is a silly question to you, but it's not to those of us that live there. Right now, our current ordinance is 3 dogs per parcel. So is this considered 1 parcel or is it going to be considered 2? And if so, what do we do about grandfathering in? Because it was a single family unit. We can't have 6 dogs on that property. That's from the neighborhood, not just us. And the other thing is, could we maybe be a little proactive instead of reactive in that maybe, I think we're going to have some apartments here in town eventually. So what are we going to do about the dogs there? How many get to be in there? So it's a little food for thought. I'm not here to complain. I'm just here because it's a concern to those of us that live up on Village Drive and the neighboring streets. Thank you.
We'll just say like, partially right. The dogs, because we talked earlier, and so I did actually read the ordinance. It's three dogs per residential unit. So it has nothing to do with the lot size. So if it's a duplex, that would be 6 dogs, so on and so forth. So for the 84 unit apartment complex, I don't even do the math, but they would be allowed 3 dogs per unit per our current ordinance. So that's not in the zoning code, but maybe to do something.
84 times 6.
There you go.
Pardon me?
That would be 252 dogs.
That's a lot of dogs.
It's a lot of dogs.
That's a lot of dog poop.
3 dogs in 1 house is a lot.
I know.
And there are several houses. There are many houses in our neighborhood that you don't even know they have a dog. But there are other houses that you really know they have dogs. So it's just, again, food for thought as we grow. And especially when this is an older established neighborhood and now we're going to add this duplex in the middle of all of us. Yeah, thank you.
If and when the apartment complexes do come up, they're very highly regulated on what they allow and don't allow. Usually at most, usually it's 2 dogs or less. And even then, there's usually a weight limit, breed restrictions, all sorts of stuff. If they decide to do any of that. A lot of them are going against it now, but only for service dogs. So it just depends on who decides to manage it. It's to do that stuff.
Jenna, get your purse under the.
It is, thank you.
Anybody else like to make public comment? See none. On to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted in 1 motion. We have the approval of the minutes from June 25th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
I'll move we approve the consent agenda.
Second. Larry, second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Seeing none. Motion passes. 5-0. Right, next we have a rezoning application for Baker's Woods Phase 3 PUD.
Yeah, so I told you they probably didn't need to show up for this. There's literally nothing changing. No lines are changing on the plat. It's simply the district that we're calling it. When they were originally going for zoning and preliminary plat for Baker's Woods, it was in the works, like going through the pipeline that we would be relaxing the high density districts minimum standards, and these exceed those standards. And so at the time, the Plan Commission allowed it to go through PUD in anticipation of it becoming allowable through a regular single family district. Now that ordinance amendment has passed, the high density district exists. These all exceed the minimums in the district. And like I said, there's nothing at all changing with the plan itself. It's just that with the PUD district, there are several other steps that the developer would have to go through that really aren't pertinent in this case anyway, since all the infrastructure is designed to spec. So they're just asking to call a duck a duck.
Okay, I'll now open the public hearing at 6:06 PM. And was the public hearing posted?
Yes.
Yes, I will read this. The public hearing was published in the Post Messenger Recorder on 6/19/2025 and 6/26/2025. I have included the affidavit of publication as part of the agenda packet. It was also posted at Village Hall, Belleville Public Library, on the Village of Belleville website on Friday, July 3rd, 2025. Now open to public participation. If anyone would like to speak on this rezoning.
So it's not gonna change number of houses?
Absolutely nothing.
Anything like that? Okay, that was my only concern, that we're just getting more in the same size area. Thank you.
I have to read this 3 times. Are there any other comments? Are there any other comments? And are there any other comments? Seeing none, I now close the public hearing at 6:07 PM. Now we consider the approval of rezoning application for Baker's Woods Phase 3. So rezone from PUD planned unit development to RSH single family high density district. You already gave the presentation. Any board comments?
Yes, so we won't have anything happening here like we had to deal with on Monday night, correct?
No, absolutely not.
Okay,
No, I mean, this was a different animal,
different, yeah,
completely anyway, because everything's being built to spec. It was the sole reason for the PUD was the lot sizes. And that's since been rectified. So.
Right, and they already have their plat approved and
Yep.
so. Any public comments? Consider a motion.
I move that we approve the rezoning application for Baker's Woods Phase 3 PUD.
Chance. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Right, now we have a conditional use permit application for 11 Carl Ave.
So my experience with 11 Carl started back in January. I know that there were communications in the village going back at least a couple of years prior to that with the previous CUP and everything. But upon a complaint, I did an inspection. Complaint was regarding the full-size storage unit or storage container that's on the property. I did send a letter out 2/7 with that, among a few other smaller issues that I found on the property during the compliance inspection. Was communicating off and on with the owners, and back and forth for a few months. It came to the fact that they would want to, the storage is there for a business that operates offsite. primarily offsite. And so they really wanted the storage to be there. I started talking to the owner, Herman, about building a garage back there and doing a little bit of research into it. While he was sitting there with me, I looked at the plat, and lo and behold, there's a large utility easement for the sewer line that actually serves all the businesses going up to the business condo building that State Farm is in. That goes right through the back there. And so it's unbuildable because the main goes right back there. So that's unfortunate. I guess theoretically, if the container were to stay, it could be moved. But I mean, it would be a little logistically harder than obviously open space, but it could be moved. But you know, obviously a regularly built garage building could not, so it's unable to build there. After I let them know that, I scheduled a meeting with them to see if we could figure something else out. Did not attend the meeting. And then I had a hard time getting the meeting after that. And so I sent a final letter 5/8 saying that it had to be removed by 5/30 or by May 30th. And then the applicant filled out the application for the CUP, which we had discussed as an option before. I did a compliance inspection. You guys have the memo with the pictures, and there's a few other ordinance compliance issues there. I recommend denial of this permit. I don't do that often at all. It's been almost a decade since I've done that. Main contributing factors are there. Communication has been kind of off and on, not consistent. The past CUP that I mentioned was nullified because they had a 2-year time limit to pull permits to turn the back half of the commercial building into residential units. No permits were ever pulled, but there were people living in the commercial space. There were actually children who were registered at the school district who were living in the commercial space at one time, according to. And so there were multiple violations. And so just a history of kind of non-compliance. And yeah, that's where we're at.
Okay. Now open the public hearing at 6:12 p.m. And the public hearing was published in the Post Messenger Recorder on 6/19/2025 and 6/26/2025. I've included the affidavit of publication as part of the agenda packet. It was also posted at Village Hall, Belleville Public Library, and on the Village of Belleville website on Friday, July 3rd, 2025. I now open up to public participation if anyone would like to come up and have some comments.
Sure.
Yep.
So I'm here on behalf of my dad. He is Herman.
And what's your name?
My name's Antonella.
Antonella.
So we have a construction company. Our main office is there at 11 Carl Avenue. We have a daycare that's going to be opening up very soon here behind the building where the apartments were going to be originally. Basically, our plan was we were using the building for storage. Again, I had no idea that there were children registered under the school district that said that they lived there because there shouldn't have been any children there. But basically, we really need a space to store all of our supplies, our materials. We have about 30 employees and 15 subcontractors that we work with. And where we were hoping to build like a storage shed or a garage in the area. But unfortunately, it's like Ian said, it's unbuildable. Our plan with the storage container was to put it on wheels to make it easier to move. It's going to cost about $3,000 to get the parts and make it movable. But if there was ever any work that needed to be done in the area, I would just hitch it and move it. So we're able to do that if needed. We would like to put like our company logo on it. If we need to move it, we definitely can. Yeah, that's basically it. And I'm sorry and I apologize for my dad's lack of communication. We do work outside of the state a lot. Unfortunately, we, like I said, it's a construction company and everything from COVID all of our projects from COVID were put on hold and then everything wanted to go at once. So we unfortunately did neglect this property a little bit. But we're back now and we're trying to make it work. Next later.
Are there any other comments? Are there any other comments? Say 3 times. Are there any other comments? Hearing none, I now close the public hearing at 6:15 PM. Discuss and consider the use permit requesting authorizing a temporary accessory structure at the property located at level 11 Connect Ave. So
If you guys remember, this is almost exactly the same situation as with Big Cat's.
That's barbecue.
Yeah.
1019 River Street.
There you go. Yeah, they had a smaller unit in the parking lot, but pretty much the same deal. And this happened around the same time.
any comments?
Oh,
Go ahead, Larry. Sorry.
I have a question for you, ma'am. Where do you store most of the equipment and all of the supplies right now?
In that container.
In that container? All your supplies and equipment?
Most of them, a lot of them are out of sight, like out in the construction zones that we were working on. But most of it goes in there, yes, sir.
Amazing. It's kind of small. You're talking
Employees.
30 employees and equipment.
We don't store, like, if we're doing siding, we're not gonna store siding. We're just buy the materials and take it to the site. Or if we're doing, framing, we don't store the frames for the suppliers there. We just get it to the site, we get it for the purchase. But like machines, tools, equipment, stuff like that, yeah, we store there.
Are any flammables or hazardous materials stored in the trailer?
No, sir.
I mean, my concern is there's been some code issues identified, but nothing's been done to address them. So you're asking us to approve something, which I would be open to, but like, how do we know that things will be followed through with in a correct way? I guess there is a way that we could put a time, for reevaluation of this, to see if things were handled appropriately, but well,
Well,
I have
and
some concern.
to that point, I mean, there already has been a conditional use permit on that property. Nothing happened with that.
I should say too, it's my understanding that the building changed hands right at the beginning. I don't, like I said, I wasn't involved at this point, but right at the beginning, when your father purchased the building, maybe is when the conditional use permit went into place. I don't know if it was the previous owner or your father who sought the conditional use permit. I mean, long story short, nothing was followed up.
And I'll direct this to Ian, I guess just to back up the truck a little bit, we're identifying a interesting mix of uses in this property. A daycare and a construction company. Is that compliant with the zoning?
It is. Both of those are permitted uses in the district.
But then I also, I guess I have I don't know if this is germane to the conversation, but I have serious issues about those two things and safety. You have children and construction equipment on the same property. We have photographs that show that there are already things not stored within the container. So we're already spilling out of the container. So that to me is also problematic because it looked like there was maybe some snow removal equipment. Does that sound right?
Yep. Snow removal. There was a
Piled up water side of this.
Trailer with all the man.
There's just a lot to unpack here. And yes, it's similar to the big cap, but I mean, it was cleaned up, it's contained, it's neat, it's orderly, it has a specific purpose. So this isn't quite apples and apples when we're comparing.
The fencing around it is in disrepair. It's still open. I drove by today.
I will say there were a couple things on the January compliance letter that I sent out, a couple of code compliance issues. One of them being that fence, the chain link fence was fixed from my first walk around, but the wooden fence doesn't look like it ever was. And there was a wooden fence issue by the play equipment in January that had been fixed. So there were a couple of things that had been taken care of.
So you say there's gonna be a daycare in there. Have we gone through the licensing process or, has it come for any kind of review by the?
Well, we actually have absolutely we have no permit to review something going into existing building unless they're changing the footprint of the footprint.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, so
I mean, that was a daycare when it was first built. Years ago, however old that building is, so.
I mean, I would assume that they went through the state licensing, but I mean, as far as we are, I mean, it's permitted in the district. So if that's what they're telling me that they're doing, it's kind of automatically with our current ordinance.
They would need an occupancy inspection prior before they can open.
I think initially to get the commercial inspector to come out, he approved it for, he filled out a sheet and it says how many children can go, and he measured the rooms and he let us know how many kids can go in each area. Then that gets sent to the state, and the state's actually coming on Friday to take a look at some of the stuff. We had to contact, there's a lot of things that go into opening a daycare, so but it's in the works and it's gonna obviously be opening up next.
Well, I agree with Chance, the stuff that's stored around there, not in the container, and that does that kind of send up some red flags, I think, for kids and all that stuff that's there right now that, I don't know, I mean, that building, I'll be honest, it's kind of turned into an eyesore since in the last 5 years or so here. And, I think the compliance issues that Ian has brought up need to be fixed, obviously. I don't know, I'm really torn on this, how I feel, what I should do with this, so.
I did lay out, if you guys
Yeah.
choose to proceed, I did lay out a few things that came to mind for conditions upon approval.
You guys wanted to give us like a time frame or whatever, like I could pass that on, we could work with that. Like, something like outlining like everything that needs to be done or everything that needs to be fixed and sent to me, and I'll make sure I get it taken care of. But like I said, like the owner is just not around very often.
Would you be okay with having a list of things that bringing things up to code and cleaning it up and then reevaluating like in 3 months or something to see that it's done, shows like some kind of progress? I would still like to see like a review after that too, just to make sure that things are maintained if we would approve that.
We would be happy to work with that.
I'm fine doing whatever you guys want to do, but
I mean, it's already there.
Yeah.
It's not like they're asking to put something there, so I guess, yeah.
I would have just expected though, if it's coming here and if those things would have been addressed, you know what I mean? If we're looking to approve it, I'd like to see some goodwill towards remedying some of those things that were identified.
Is it guessing, and I have any kids, I don't know, but I'm guessing when that was daycare originally, that fenced in area was the playground area back in there.
so I don't know exactly what the back chain link area would have been used for before, but the separate fenced in, kind of where you see the vertical wood slat fence, that area is completely enclosed by the vertical wood slat fence, and the play equipment and everything is in there. So it doesn't look like there would be any easy access for children to get to the chain link area. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I mean, it doesn't look like it's easily accessible.
And again, the state would, with their inspection, would,
It'll be a lot harder than I was.
yeah, right.
I think what the state has to do, but I think they have some concerns.
There's a lot on Friday. It's fairly heavily regulated.
Yeah. Daycare.
So this is the thing about conditional use permits, they're more or less a contract between the plan commission and the property owner. So whatever you guys want to work out, if you want to work something out, it's entirely up to you. I can only base my review on what was submitted in the application.
I mean, recommendations 4 and 5, 30 days to comply and then certain period if it's non-compliant. So we trigger a further review with the planning commission.
Was to do with Big Cats. It was a condition of his that he improved the exterior appearance of the storage unit. And I have received complaints about the property, but only 2 of those complaints, to my knowledge, were specific.
About this property that we're talking about tonight?
Yeah, but only 2 of the complaints were specific to there being a storage unit there. The other complaints were outside storage, which has gotten better. And then complaints about people residing in the building.
Past today, it's pretty much matches the photos.
Yeah, that's the other thing that bothers me, is that there were supposedly children living in that, or at least listing that as an address, and, you know,
I don't know for sure, but that, like I said, according to Molly, there were kids registered at the school district, and then they said multiple people had complained or stated that there were people residing in there.
How long has that storage container been there?
It has been there since, well, the first complaint I got was right around January. So probably a little bit before the date I put in there, my first interaction. Because at the time, I got the complaint, we don't have anybody, didn't have anybody's house doing code compliance inspection. And so Gabe sent me to go do it before I started doing this, so.
So what is the? It's a temporary structure. Oh, how long is temporary?
30 days, isn't it? Or
Right.
like a first.
Yes, the
approved by us.
accessory structures as it's in the code are for 30 days or until the occupancy, if it's a construction-based project, like if it's a storage container, if it's an office or something like that on a storage site. That allows me to give up to 30 days for 30-day extension. Because they were working in good faith, or less on and off since we first discussed it. I fudged a little bit. I didn't want to cite anybody or do anything like that. But yeah, the compliance letter I sent on May 8th was the one where I, said it's time for it to go. And that's when you put the CUP app in. So I'm like, okay, fine. As long as it's going to go before you guys finally, that's fine.
I mean, yeah, and when you look at the ordinance for accessory structure, it's kind of non-specific. Because our, I need to go back and see what our definition of structure is. Because it's really no different than somebody's got a backyard shed. I would call that a accessory structure.
Yep.
Ordinance defines a structure as any man-made object with form, shape, and utility, either permanent or temporarily attached to, placed upon, or set into the ground.
There you go.
So, I mean, really, the difference between this and building a shed or building a garage is that it was once a shipping container. So the question then comes back to, does it fall within the rest of the general maintenance of property? And I would articulate no at present. That being said, I guess I almost struggle to think it's a conditional use permit issue now looking back at this because of how we kind of loosely define structure and temporary structure. Is it now really just, again, more of an issue of property maintenance? Don't know. I'm more confused. I shouldn't have looked.
Yeah, so it made the most sense to me because they both arrived at the same time.
Yes.
Big cats that we treated both the same. And that's started out just big cats, was rectified a lot faster.
Yeah.
That was a conditional use permit.
Okay. Well,
It gives us a little bit of control though, if there were issues that they would have to come back to us. Which,
We'll say too, that conditional use permits go with the property, not the owner. So if they were selling the building tomorrow and somebody wanted to have the storage container continue, it can continue unless you put a condition in there saying that it's not allowable. So if that's the route you want to go with it too.
yeah, for sure. When did you say the state's coming to look at your whole daycare setup?
I think they're coming tomorrow from what the daycare owner told me. They sent in a bunch of documentation first prior to them coming.
Daycare gonna occupy the entire building, or are you guys gonna have offices?
We have the offices in the front of the building. And then they have the whole back part of the playground area.
So, and so the container is currently over utility easement.
Correct. Almost the entire rear portion of that property is the utility easement.
Looking at the drawing.
Yeah, the drawing's not the greatest. I had to kind of pirate it from, clerks get to see the original plat that was recorded, but no more, and we can't print anything. So it's actually a screenshot off of that.
Ian, do I have a question?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything in our ordinance that states what can be done on a utility easement? I kind of vaguely remember that if there was a structure in that vicinity of the easement that was gonna have to be moved, it wouldn't be allowed.
Let me look real quick. I know for sure no building of permanent structures.
If there were wheels on the container.
When it becomes a trailer and it compresses into a whole new section of ordinance, I've already.
Oh, really? Well, I
It's
was,
a whole other can of these.
It really is.
I was already anticipating that question.
well, I was gonna be okay if it's on the utility easement. How does it get moved in a timely fashion if, you know, something goes wrong with the utility?
I said that would be logistically more difficult for sure, but possible.
You know, say, you know, you said it was the sewer lines. So if they gotta dig that up in that spot, how are they gonna move the container to get at the sewer lines? You know, and meanwhile, everyone else's stuff's backing up. What's wrong?
Usually you just put forks underneath them.
So
Is that something that we can move or, you know?
I don't think it's something we'd want to, because it's a liability.
generally don't want to move it with private property.
Right.
So to answer your question by not answering your question, we have a few different references to easements. There's 3 of them in the ordinance. But they all either have to do with just generally defining an easement or utility and drainage easements as far as subdivision of land goes, like when somebody does a prelim plat or a final plat. There's nothing specific about how we treat easements for our utilities. I'm sure that something when the documentation for the original plat was filed, but I don't have copies of that. So
I found the same thing. It's not clearly.
I know that you obviously can't build a permanent structure on top of an easement, but other than that, I don't know.
So if it was on wheels and it that way, how's that change the? I know it's a whole different ordinance, but
Storage trailer.
storage of a trailer then, okay,
Temporary vehicle.
which you can, all right.
That's actually almost more regulated. So per state of Wisconsin, you cannot build on top of a utility easement. Again, we're not talking about building per se.
So the easement is the 30, oh, never mind. I guess my
30
already,
by 100, and so it actually goes off.
yeah, 30, it's 30 foot. I was gonna ask, it's between the dash line and the solid line on the line, but yeah, I've already seen that there, so, okay.
Actually. Probably should be purpose built on chassis.
I had trailer that one of those sits on, but yeah.
It's- That would be, that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Kind of like show you guys like what the plan was for moving it, like if we are notified like in advance, we need to do some work or something. Kind of what they had thought about to make it movable and easy, to like hitch and move it if needed. And if the issue is that we can't have it in that area, is it possible for us to move it to any other part of the building, whether it's part of the parking lot or whatever? And then putting, like I said, cleaning it up nice, putting our logo on it, and then continuing to use it for storage.
So that was kind of an issue when we talked about big cats. I mean, you have to have so many parking stalls for, per our ordinance for a building like that. trying to, I know Big Cats picks up a couple stalls in their parking lot there. I don't remember what the discussion was. Off the top of my head.
They'll have extra stalls for,
Well, because you got the whole
And-
lot there, the whole
Right.
strip mall there.
Yeah, I don't, honestly, I don't remember.
and I think there was some.
Reduction in joint use is the code.
I need to figure out how to make this work. That's,
Lot, yard, parking area, building area, or other space shall be reduced in area or dimension so as not to meet the provisions of this chapter. No part of any lot, yard, parking area, or other space required for structure or use shall be used for any other structure or use. That's the reduction of joint use. So the parking stalls required for that business. These aren't parked, this isn't parked on top of parking stalls, but yeah, the situation Gary was mentioning, that would have been violation of this. This is a violation of this ordinance too. Something I was gonna talk to your dad about, but we never got a chance, was the possibility of shifting it to the Carl Avenue side. And shifting, because I know construction company, you know, if you guys could shift it over there, and we had talked about making it, since it could permanently sit there, more or less, making it look substantially similar to the building,
Right.
siding and whatever, and then shifting the parking stalls to the rear.
And that we
Yes.
could do.
Yeah, but we never got the chance to talk about it, but
Right.
that's what I was gonna talk to him about, because that parking is totally fine over the easement.
Right.
That's much easier to deal with than a large storage container filled. Yeah, I don't. How you guys feel about that? But that was gonna be my original idea.
I think that's a better idea. I would not favor it facing River Street, being on that side of the structure at all. My only concern would be, how wide is that? Do you know how wide that
Oh,
thing is?
I was just thinking that, 'cause I didn't measure anything, so.
I don't have the measurements.
Yeah, look at the standard shipping container size.
Standard width 8 feet by, this wouldn't be about 40 foot long, so 8 by 40. Standard height is usually 6 inches. That could also be 9 foot 6 inches. So the standard is 8, so probably that.
The only issue then with moving to the Carl Street side would be the public, the neighbor can, well, that, the public right away, and also having adequate distance between that container and the building itself, and having adequate standoff and safety distance for,
Yeah, both sides, the building side and the sidewalk side, I would say, yeah.
fire and life safety.
it's in there or something.
Well, I'm just thinking if there's a fire, if something in that structure to catch fire, have to distance between that container and the structure itself.
See what?
That is zone BG, so it has 0 setbacks.
I assume when you mean moving the container along Carl Ave, you're talking to make it go parallel with Carl Ave.
Yeah.
East and west. Yeah. It is a
So the
parking lot.
distance, according to Google Maps, from the front door to Carl Ave is 29.6 feet. Like 29 feet to the sidewalk. You're taking 8 feet off, we'll just round it to 9, so you got 20 feet from the front door to the sidewalk.
You're talking on Carl Ave.
Yeah, this distance right here.
Yeah.
See if I can get.
I mean, aesthetically, I don't think that as much as
Yeah.
it's currently at now, right? They have the shipping container on the side of the business.
The big cats one is kind of hidden back there behind,
Like it's exponentially smaller too.
yes, right.
I've got from, this is a GIS measurement, but for lip of the roof. Lip of the roof to the side of the sidewalk is 29.84. That's what I measure.
Trailer here, ready.
Maybe we can move it off from that easement.
Yeah, that
The
would take
container is like here,
40 feet of that.
It looks like it's a little bit far down.
because, yeah, that's the trailer in here. Yeah, they parked the trailer there.
You're probably looking at less than 20 feet. Or it would be moved over there if it was moved almost all the way up to the sidewalk.
So if it's 15 feet or less, there will need to be a 2-hour fire separation. So I don't believe that building's sprinkler. What it's sided with may already be 2 hours, but I don't know. Looking at it. Even,
But James, you've not inspected this building yet for the daycare, correct?
not for the current occupant, no. Last time I was in it, it would be what we would classify not in regular use, so
Okay.
fire inspection. We need one before it can open as,
The daycare.
well, anything
Yeah.
really at this point, but it's
Get an
especially
occupancy.
daycare's different occupancy concern. I mean, I guess, so kind of, I dug in a little bit on the state statute as well on the whole utility right away, because it's our, I say our as in the village's utility. The village kind of does establish what the rules are for allowing this within that space. If it was our transmission, things like that, it would come down to ATC or whoever's lines it were. So I mean, the village at the end of the day could say, and I think maybe that's not to punt, but becomes a board conversation, because it really probably should be codified in an ordinance. What is or is not allowed in an easement right away, because we don't have such. So that there's issue number one. If there's some plan in place for moving it, I would just assume it stay in the space it's in. And it be as far to the, I guess it'd be the west as possible, because then that gives you adequate separation between the existing structure and storage structure. That negates any fire safety concerns.
If it's gonna stay in the same general area, I'd want to get utilities located to make sure it's not right on top.
So maybe that's.
I was gonna say, if the utility, it's a 30-foot easement, I don't know if
Where
if the
it
line
is.
runs right down the
Right.
middle of that 30 feet, or if it's to the west side or the east side, that would maybe be the thing that we need to find out first before, if we're gonna do something like that, so.
Would it,
How did we figure that out? Would we have somebody come out and?
I think Public Works would have.
Yeah, they'd have to
Would
go.
it be Public Works? You could just call Digger's Hotline.
I don't know who locates the.
I mean, Public Works can do it for free.
Yeah.
Digger's Hotline's usually for free too.
Yeah.
Not for us, it ain't.
Really?
I mean, I'm almost inclined to suggest maybe we table this until we have more information.
That's kind of where I was going too. I was kind of putting a little timeline together to, I would like to see, some best efforts on addressing a bunch of these things before it comes back to us. And I just spitballed some stuff here, like figuring out this easement violation. I was thinking 14 days. 30 days to get things cleaned up. There shouldn't be stuff outside the container and, a lot of these things you listed. Giving them 60 days for the fence and fire inspection, which would probably happen even sooner if the daycare is coming. Those are some of my ideas so far, so.
And I'm not opposed to that because it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been there. So at this point, I feel like we have a little bit of time to work with it. I don't want it to linger forever, but
Yeah. Well, that's why we gotta put
some time. Some
tight time frames on it.
I agree. I mean, I think, if we can leave it on that west side, that's gonna be much better, because the next complaint would be if we move that out on the Carl Avenue, and the neighbors are gonna, at least it's somewhat, it's hidden a little bit back there where it is. So I think, we need to figure out exactly if we can create our own rules on that or whatever, figure out exactly where that line goes. If it's right down the middle.
I mean, honestly, the state could come in there tomorrow and tell them, if you want to have a daycare in there, none of this can be.
Right, exactly.
So I mean, it could all be a game changer.
Right.
One other thing to consider also is the vacant lot to the west is supposed to have condos built
At some point,
at some point.
I mean, that's,
It was a great plan I saw over a year ago.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Just as a reminder to everyone.
It's for sale now.
Well, it's got a for sale sign it for a condo, so I think they're trying to pre-sell
the
the
condo.
condo
yes.
before building it.
Yeah, to get their money for construction.
yeah, I think about it, it's kind of false advertising a little bit. Because they came for a variance so that they could go closer to build closer to a lot line, but absolutely nothing else has been approved.
It's a weird lot right there.
That's not the subject of this.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would agree with you, Mike. I think if we table it, we can get some of these questions answered and, a little progress on the issues, the other issues that are over there. Some good faith effort and, see where we're at that point. After we get figure out where the sewer line actually goes through and, that we can indeed make our own rule and say, we can have it, but it's gonna have to be as far to the west or as far to the east, whatever. And then the problem is you go as close to the east, and you got the problems with the distance from a building and the event of a fire or something like that. So,
I would be inclined to table it in just 60 days. And like I said,
Maybe 30?
Like I do somewhere between 14 and 30. I think 30 is good. So what I hear is locate utilities. I need, like I said, any restrictions that are currently in place are going to be on the easement documentation that was recorded with the plat. So need to actually go to the register of deeds and get that. 30 days to abate the code compliance issues. And then, or at least have a plan in place to abate the code compliance issues. And then, when you're gonna get the results, or where they're gonna get the results of the state inspection?
I don't, but I can give you the daycare owner's information if you guys want to reach out to her, and then she can let you guys know.
I don't know how long it's gonna take for them to publish their inspection results.
This is the state of Wisconsin, so I'm just going to think quickly, but I could be wrong. I think 30 days is adequate to abate things because we can continue the conversation and assume that the state's not going to have issue with that being on the property with the daycare, but the state's going to probably also want everything to be code compliant as it is with the property.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like we're asking an unnecessary request of you guys because I think, like I said, if it's going to be a daycare, things are going to have to be buttoned up pretty tight to begin with. So it's just going to benefit you to make those changes.
So I'll make a motion that we table this to the
Next August meeting.
August, there's June 11th on here is our next meeting date, but whatever, the August,
Yeah,
let's be the 12th or 13th meeting.
yes, August 13th. So Scotia over 30 days again, sorry.
No, that's fine. No, it's 30 days. I have to inspect it before the meeting.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, motion by Gary,
I'll second that.
seconded by Larry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Two passes 5-0. We can table this until August 13th. Hope you'll see some improvement. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. And we are on item 7. Additional use permit for 107 West Main Street.
This is just a resolution for the CUP that you guys approved last meeting. It's just a document. So if it conforms to what you guys had discussed, then it's good to go.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the conditional use permit for 107 West Main Street.
Chance, seconded by Gary. Take one last peek at it.
So the only comment I had is that the resolution says 103 and 107, so it's for both of those.
Yeah, the beer garden stretches onto both properties.
Yeah.
So the document reported both properties.
And let's see. Standards. And signage stating something to the effect of it. Right, yep, perfect. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item 8, discuss consider CSM application for 637 Village Drive.
Yep, so this is a little bit cart before the horse, but that's because of miscommunication. There was supposed to be a zoning application to go with this. Usually before you would do a CSM to split a lot or something and would need to be in a different zoning district, you would rezone it. So unfortunately, communication issue, that didn't happen. So if you choose to approve this, it will be conditional on the applicant who's already turned in an application for a rezone coming to next meeting, which is possible. So to rezone it to a 0 lot line residential district. But yes, as Jenna was saying before, that is an established single family neighborhood, but for the several multifamily 2 families and 0 lot line that exist on the same street, just a block over. So there's that precedent of us allowing this use in this area.
3 apartment buildings right across, or just down the street from it too, so, yeah.
Yeah, this is the multifamily, yeah, so there is past precedent, so this would not be considered spot zoning. But yeah, I mean, otherwise the CSM exceeds the minimum standards of 0 lot line zone district, and like I said, it would be contingent upon that.
I guess I do have one question that the lot 2, which would be the one on the east side. And it is my naivety when it comes to developing something, because I drove past it today. There's a telephone pole and a fire hydrant right along the road. I'm like, how do you get a driveway in there? So if I assume I'm looking at the right property, because it had a for sale sign on it and stuff. So
I think the driveway would be to the. So that.
There was a support wire for the telephone pole that went to the east towards the fire hydrant.
Yeah, that might have to be.
I don't know if that stuff can be relocated or.
Yeah.
what. It's gotta be- Yeah.
The line would probably be the best answer. for that. The fire hydrant could be relocated to an honesty, but obviously. we don't want to do
Just like, ooh,
Are these gonna be rentals or owner occupied condos?
that.
That makes me feel better about it.
And you know, the fact that there are other similar properties close by, I don't like just plopping something in a low density housing in the middle of nowhere, but there are things close by, which makes me more agreeable to.
No, but I think owner occupied also makes it more
Yeah,
palatable
that's
to
it.
neighbors.
Yeah.
right.
That's what, like, you originally talked about it before he went and purchased it. I'm like, I mean, there's several instances of higher density on the street. So,
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I mean,
Just anticipating.
Well, yeah, 'cause,
Yeah,
no.
the rental property, the next block down past your mom and dad's old house has had nothing but issues down there. So, but,
currently those are issues. If you're talking about the one in the corner,
yeah.
that was, when we bought that not that long ago. There's no more issues there.
I saw a sign there, so yeah, okay. Well,
Oh, we got rid of one of the issues, it was a big issue. Unfortunately.
so if we make a motion, it has to be conditional on the zone.
Right, yeah, and the zoning would come back in August. It's a little bit cart before the horse, but
I will,
sometimes the worst, you save $250 from having to put in a rezone, I guess.
I will make a motion to approve the certified survey map and the application conditional to approval of the rezone.
I'll second that.
Motion by Chance, seconded by Larry. Any additional discussion or comments? Anyone? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 5-0.
The issue that was brought up before is probably something that it's when
It seems often.
when Chance multiplied 84 times 3 and came up with there could be 250 dogs out in there. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen, but
It's like clearly the maximum by our ordinance, and like Ashley said, I mean, I'm sure a management company would do it a little differently, but maximum by ordinance allowable is 3 per residential unit.
Yeah.
Period.
I get a town license.
yeah, right. Yeah.
Keep up with it. Residential units can also have chickens. Permit.
Yeah, but that you actually have to be on a single family lot.
Right.
Well, maybe that's something
stand
maybe
corrected.
for future ordinance stuff, is to revisit that ordinance.
But we will be looking at ordinance
Yeah,
here.
we haven't gotten there yet. But yeah.
Commission member announcement statements or questions? Anyone got anything to say? Other than what we talked about? Hearing none, future agenda items will be revisiting on our next meeting date of August 13th. The Carl Ave topic for sure. Anything else?
So the zoning.
Oh, and
Yeah, we get zoning application.
zoning.
So we can get that done sooner than later.
I would entertain a motion.
So
I'll move.
A second. Give it to Larry and Jared. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned at 7:04 PM.